episode 48, the show where we talk about the men and the women who be slapping the meat in the middle of the ring and the stories they tell in the mother flipping process. I'm GB, you got Matt, you also have Jake there. On this episode, we're giving our predictions for this weekend's Survivor Series War Games, as well as discuss the next saga in AEW, and I'm going to be fantasy booking my butt off at the end of this one, and everyone might disagree with me. Don't forget to like this episode if you're watching on YouTube. Leave a comment on Spotify giving us your predictions for this weekend's big pay-per-view, and to follow us across all the social media platforms, and now on Blue Sky at rebooked.bsky.social. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Fellas, how you doing? You feeling good? Miss your faces.
Oh, well, you just came back from a big trip.
I did. Yeah. I was in Sweden. That's why we're recording this episode actually later. We're recording this on Wednesday. So we won't be talking about Dynamite, by the way, obviously, because we don't have a time machine. But we won't need to for the contents of this episode because we'll be covering more of that next week. But yeah, and then I destroyed my voice, yelling out Team Falcons at the end of the Overwatch.
You still sound okay.
Finals.
You sound all right.
No, it sounded great. I was great. I got to fit in a Triple H. Are you ready? Up in that son bitch, it was great.
That's the GB classic.
It really is. I just steal it. I'm basically like
if it ain't broke, steal it.
Yeah, I'm the meta of hosts. I just steal features from other people. Jake, how you doing, buddy? You good?
Nah.
How's Bama?
I don't want to talk about it.
Easy, dude. Come on, man.
I didn't know. I don't know what's going on. I've been out of the country. What?
They're the most schizophrenic football team.
Because last week you were on board, right?
They don't know. It just proves not that we're good, but that LSU sucks.
Okay, got it.
That's what it proved.
Got it. Okay.
Lost to a 5-5 team. We had no business losing to. If you have 7 people on the line of the scrimmage, why the are you running a QB read? It doesn't matter. You can
get the bleep button out early today.
I was ready to give him the solo. Just give him a moment to just.
It's too hot.
Unleash. He's too hot. Yeah. He's too hot. All right. Well, let's go.
Now we have our biggest rivalry this Saturday.
Oh, who is it? Who is it?
Auburn.
It's Auburn.
The Auburn Tigers. It's at home. It's at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Yeah.
But they need one win to become bowl eligible. They just had a big win over number 15 ranked Texas A&M last week, and we just got busy washing our sheets because we shit the bed.
Damn.
So I don't know if I'm looking forward to this weekend or not.
Okay, well, we'll find out next week whether or not Jake
TBD
is the saga.
If we start so next week and you just see my feet hanging down, just dangling.
Oh man,
then you'll know.
Here we go. All right, let's go ahead and dive into our first topic of the day, which of course is about AEW Full Gear. Funny thing, I didn't actually get a chance to watch the whole show because I thought I could buy it on YouTube like pay-per-view later, and turns out you can't. They take it down like after a day or two, so you can't purchase it anymore because I like to have all my pay-per-views in one place.
Yeah.
And that sucks. So I ended up having to watch it across like all the different clips and everything like that. But everything that I saw, indicated yet another great AEW wrestling pay-per-view, great matches across the board. Some story elements better than others. But for the contents of this discussion, we're really going to focus on just a few of the key matches and moments there. Most notably, what we talked about regarding Swerve and Lashley last week. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but we were talking about what needed to happen in this match and how we needed to see Lashley really look like a monster. Kind of like reminiscent of when Brock Lesnar returned and fought John Cena, for that first match, and he absolutely brutalized him. And it wasn't necessarily the same thing. Like Swerve got some good offense in, but ultimately Bobby Lashley looked like a beast in this matchup, which is exactly what they needed. Because Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but AEW does not seem to do very well with big guys. They kind of seem to fumble the bag a little bit. So
Yeah, like it's good to see this held. Now it wasn't quite Suplex City level. We saw a lot more out of Swerve than we did Cena that night. But it was very clear and concise for Bobby Lashley. And I think it is. It's a good start. I think that was needed against a very well-established star like Swerve. I think is a good move. It's the classic, where do they take it from here though? How do they capitalize on that? Because that's good. That's good momentum. That's good real estate. That's goodwill to work with. I really, man, a lot of people mentioned this. I was kind of bummed too. That was billed, and we talked about it because we record usually on Tuesdays. So it was before Dynamite last week. And we talked about it being the in-ring AEW debut of Bobby Lashley, and then they threw a random squash handicap match on Dynamite. And I think that kind of spoiled the moment a little bit. His debut is beating the former AEW World Champion in dominant fashion would have been so much better than his second match.
Makes me wonder if that was just him wanting to get ring rust off.
But see, you do that for a talent that is relatively unestablished, that people are unfamiliar with. You don't do it with Bobby Lashley. People know who Bobby Lashley is. People know what he's capable of. Yeah. That whole match was unnecessary. I 100% agree with Matt.
I don't know the logic behind it. I'm very I'm trying to understand, and I can't see the advantage of going, let's do this instead of having the in-ring debut on the pay-per-view. That was strange to me.
That is a very good note, and definitely one that certainly kind of sullies the debut a little bit, given the significance of him, defeating the former AEW World Champion in his first matchup would have been, that's just a great line. I mean, don't get me wrong, like you could still say in his debut pay-per-view matchup, but you don't really, you lose the juice. You lose the juice.
A little spark of it. Like, look, we'll all forget about it. We're not going to remember the handicap match. We'll go on from here, but it would have been that nice little extra spark
for sure
to put in a note, and that's a great commentary note. It's a great thing to kind of have. But
no, for sure, I'm with you, right, and that is a good note to have. Now, as far though as what AEW has done with a few of like the building up of some of these characters, missing the mark in some areas sometimes, this time around Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay knocked it out of the park. You genuinely couldn't have asked for a better like coming out party for Kyle Fletcher as like a big bad. He looks great. He's got a really unique look now. He's got the trunks and he came out with the crown, and I don't know what the crown was for, but hey, I fuck with it. Like, it was still pretty cool. I think, one of the key parts of this, and we talked about this last when we made our prediction, when we predicted Kyle Fletcher to win, was that, to be quite frank, it needs to be like that. Otherwise, what is the point? Right? And Will Ospreay did everything that you could possibly ask for of like a leading man in that situation. He came out beaten, battered, and bruised, which they protected Will Ospreay, with the whole like he took so much abuse. It's an easy way for them to kind of give Kyle the win while not diminishing Will Ospreay. While at the same time, though, Kyle Fletcher, hit him with some really devastating moves, like the tombstone on top of the steel steps. Yeah. Jake, that was crazy. And I know you have some work being done in your home right now, but don't worry about it. Or being done above you. But don't worry about it. Pop off. What did you think about that tombstone, man? Because that thing was freaking nuts.
That was one of those moves that I was... Every now and then there are moves that are done that are more like, oh my God, this is going to be so cool. And I more feel like a mom watching her sons on the trampoline going, please don't hurt yourself. And that was one of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I just... Because I was like, oh God, he's got to step out away from the ring to get that because it's a little bit away. Oh, please, for the love of God, don't. Yeah, I mean, Though, so there are certain moves like that I'm more relieved that no one was injured or died than I am like that was cool.
I can't see Will Ospreay doing that with anyone other than him though, because they just know each other like really well.
It's a complete trust thing. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure there's certain people that he would not want to do that with, but I mean, I was pleasantly surprised by this match because I was the one dissent where I was just because I just was like Ospreay wins until otherwise, otherwise sane. So it was a pleasant surprise to actually see Fletcher win, and it's not a case of that. Like I feel like I need to clarify by saying I don't think it's a case of that. Like Ospreay didn't want to put anybody over, but he does kind of seem to be the golden goose for AEW, of like, putting on these great matches. He's super over. I mean, if he's not the top guy, he is up there at the tippy top of, the most over and popular people in AEW. So, but like to see that he would put Fletcher over and put him over like he did, because like you said, there are not many people who can keep up with Will Ospreay in the ring.
Yeah.
And it was smart for this match to be like it was, and not just like, just some kind of beating or any kind of, but like a hard fought battle between these two to show that Fletcher's on near equal footing to Will Ospreay. And I was really pleasantly surprised by that. I was really happy with how it turned out, and Ospreay. Yeah, I mean, I hate saying Ospreay made Fletcher look like, because I mean that feels like that's taking credit away from Kyle Fletcher and his ability and how he performed. But like, but Ospreay's the guy who's on top right now, and so for him to take that L is a big deal. And I thought it really showed a great future for Kyle Fletcher.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more on that. I think that this definitely was, like I said, the coming out party for Kyle Fletcher, right? The arc that he's gone through, his character development has been really fun. And to the point that you made about the match, I think it because, this is like the new era, of like, I guess maybe not new era, new style. Because
there's a little bit of like we said it before, like a little bit of a reset recently. It feels like it's a little bit of a jump start. We're going to start pushing these new stories. Some of these characters who have been on the cusp, we're going to start pushing them into that next echelon, whatever it is. And I think this is the case. As with everything, we're coming out of this pay-per-view, and this is what this episode, as far as AEW is concerned, is going to be all about is, all right, how do we follow this up? And now with Kyle Fletcher, I think the big question coming up, and for a lot of people, which is both good and bad, is this Continental Classic. And we don't have to go into 8 million different match combos that'll happen over the course of it, but
which I am excited for.
I think there are going to be some great matches. I feel like we're going to get discombobulated in some stories a little bit. We could see some new ones born. There's a lot of potential for chaos and confusion, but also some new things. But I think Kyle getting that win over Will, we need to see him get a hell of a run in that Continental Classic, I think.
Yeah.
I think that would help. He came out, like you said. Now you need to solidify him a little bit. Give him some, you don't got to win the whole damn thing, but put him through to like near the end.
Yeah, and I want to see them definitely use their resources properly in this instance, because the first Continental Classic was great because it gave characters who really were struggling to find footing on TV, it gave them something to do. Jay Lethal, good example. Like the whole like Jay Lethal needing to get the win, needing to just get one, like that was great. Danny Garcia going winless was another, like that literally pushed him to his first singles championship, right? It took a long time because he had to develop more, right? But from like fizzling out of C2 to MJF turning on him or the hot run he went on post C2 to MJF turning on him to that feud to all that stuff, like literally led to him winning the TNT championship. So there are good angles that you can take from this with the Continental Classic, and Fletcher should 100% be on the receiving end there. Another guy who I think should be on the receiving end of more benefit in that is Ricochet. But we'll probably talk about that more next week. But feel free, though, in the comments down below, let us know what you think about the Continental Classic and what you think that this could potentially do. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Scan in our writer's room on our Discord, it's like where we plan the show, said this is AEW's G1. And yeah, I like it. I love the G1 Climax. It's a great bit of wrestling. So, we'll see. But the thing that everyone was talking about at the end was the insanity that was the closing of the AEW Championship matchup between Orange Cassidy and Jon Moxley. Absolute carnage and chaos ensued when Hangman Adam Page came out. And now you're thinking, why is Hangman Adam Page there? Well, he's there because he was setting up your boy Christian to move in, cash in on Moxley to get the title, which is ambitious. And then, while all that's going on, you end up getting Jay White coming out because he ain't going to let Hangman get away with that. He just beat Hangman again. And he didn't just beat him. He literally just reverse hit him with the Blade Runner and was done. Like, that was it. Jake, I thought that ending was fucking awesome. Like, it just so many layering stories colliding all at once. But I can also understand how it felt like absolute commotion to some people.
Yeah, there was part of me, I was kind of conflicted because part of it did feel like an overbooked mess to a degree. It felt more like the go home show before a pay-per-view.
That's a good note. Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's how it felt to me, was like you better watch Full Gear this Saturday because all this shit could happen. And so that I feel like kind of took away from it a little bit, right? Because the story to me, like, was mostly, should have just been about Orange Cassidy and Mox. And maybe to a degree Wheeler Yuta as well, because we had that moment where he could have, he could have helped him, but instead he helped Moxley. So I'm mostly interested to see how Orange Cassidy comes out of this, because it felt like his loss and him being beat to a bloody pulp was lost in a lot of this. And that's kind of my one issue with it.
I actually have a reason, I think, because Orange Cassidy isn't the guy. See, we've been fed this whole time that Orange Cassidy is going to be the guy, right? But he's just not right now. He can't possibly be the guy. It's just not.
You think it's Darby Allin because of that? I don't think it's at the very end.
I don't think it's Darby Allin either. I think it's Jay White. Funny enough, I think it's Jay White. I think Jay White is going to be the one that it's either going to be Jay White or Christian. It just feels Christian, because it
can't be Christian if the whole point of this, it would be weird if the whole point of this storyline is like getting the new guys ready to take over AEW.
Yeah.
Giving it to a man in his 40s.
This is not wrong, but
not.
He's also done some incredible work, though. So
it's not to, I don't want to disparage Christian at all, but it just seems to fly in the face of the whole reason for this storyline.
I mean, you're probably right in that it is more than likely going to be Darby, especially given how the ending panned out. With the car crash.
I almost like the idea of, here's kind of how I think this is a bit of fantasy booking, I suppose, but I think someone comes out, someone finally beats Mox, whoever it is, I think is kind of irrelevant, and they just had a battle, beaten, bruised, bloodied, exhausted, nothing left in the tank, celebrating, oh my God.
Which Darby makes the most sense in that instance.
Sure. And it's, it's finally, the big bad of AEW is dead. But here comes Christian, who cashes in his championship opportunity, and he takes the belt.
Yeah.
And it's still not over.
Yeah. Actually, you're not wrong.
That might be interesting. I could see that because, Christian is definitely, an ultimate opportunist. And yeah, I can definitely see. And hey, maybe it coincides with a certain returning friend of his. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely room for them to move in that direction.
This is speculation.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
No, there's some good fantasy booking.
Hoping,
honestly,
but
well, maybe not wishful fantasy booking, but like, yeah,
Sure.
that definitely is, because I think that like one of the things that the ending of this show established to me, right, is that this is a bona fide new era of AEW. This is a new main event scene, unlike what we've had in the past with AEW. So it feels like it's, I don't know. It feels like it has some kind of, like, I don't know, a different aura to it. Like it was awesome seeing Jay White out there and Christian out there, and then Darby with the car crash at the end. And like seeing the Death Riders get, like, I don't know, like, but you're right, it was also a chaotic and commotion filled ending, but it just, to me, Matt, it just illustrated that AEW actually has a really, really healthy main event scene. And for a lot of people who wanted Jay White to be at the top of that or be involved in that, he's now firmly in that picture as well.
I think so. No, I again, it's funny, like we talk about it being like a new main event scene with a guy who's had the AEW world title more than anybody since its inception.
This is true. This is true.
He's like OG AEW, Moxley is. But he's helping the idea, like, as in, the vibe is different. I get that. I'm with you on that. The vibe check is real. And like it does feel like there's a little bit of a different clip to it. That said, there is something, and here's my worry. I would like to think this is intentional, that this is a like Empire Strikes Back kind of midpoint something. But this pay-per-view, and kind of where we are in general, is super bad guy heavy. They love their bad guys.
Why do you think that is?
All their top good guys are getting beat. This is, I'm taking some of this from a Observer article, admittedly, but I thought it was an interesting point of like, we don't have, I mean, there are people to cheer for, but we don't have that red hot baby face who is kind of, he is the one. We've got some baby faces who are under pressure and being kind of that people like, but we don't, like, there is a hard fight. Like,
yeah,
we beat Will, we're beating Swerve again. We beat Orange Cassidy. Maybe Darby will win, but it's like there's the good guys are getting their asses kicked.
Do you not think that maybe this is the
I'm
build for
hoping
Darby?
It's all. No. I do. And so like that's one, but it just feels like they're really liking bad guys, and like that happens. But I don't know who is there that when their music hits.
Yeah.
That's not even fair.
Also, fun fact: every belt in the company is held by a bad guy except the tag team titles
and the TNT. Now
the TNT.
Arguably,
it's just very true. Very true. Very true.
I'd like to speak to the why, because you asked Matt, why do you think there are more heels? Why do you think there's more bad guys?
Yeah.
And thinking on it just from a writing and character development kind of perspective, I think it's easier to make villains.
It is.
It's so much easier to make villains, and that's why it's easier to do. You can force a villain, but baby faces generally have to be organic.
Yes.
And that's hard to do.
Yes.
Because because it feels like that there's a lot of nuance to villains.
Yeah.
There can be a lot of nuance to villains, but there's not always as much nuance with a hero. that's why you see more of these kind of tweeners or ones who have to go through this hero's journey, as we've talked about hundreds of times, is it's a process to build a hero, but anybody can be a villain. And that's
True.
what I think is what's so difficult is you just kind of need to make villains and see who comes out of the aftermath of it.
And also, this is the way it's been in wrestling for a long time. And Jake, to be fair, I think this is in writing and in character development and in film, media, television. A bad guy, a villain, is there to make a hero.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That they're not. But what happens sometimes in wrestling, and this is what I'm worried about is happening in AEW, and I hope it's not. A bad guy only exists to get a good guy over. That's the wrestling way to put it. But I think it's in writing and storytelling too. They're not just there to exist and be bad and be cool, which I feel like sometimes does happen in wrestling. Like, oh man, this character we got with this heel faction is sick. Let's just keep having them beat everybody, which kind of is what the Bloodline turned into a little bit, where people did get sick of it late into the game, and then it got rejuvenated with the Cody stuff. But it's like you got to build. Hopefully, these bad guys are being built, and we're having this real heel heavy kind of era in order to get the next set of heroes over.
Yeah.
So I'm wait and see, but I'm hoping that's what we'll see come out of this in the next few months.
For me, the line that Triple H said at that press conference was, it's easy to build a heel, but man, it is hard to build a face. You know,
especially today when people aren't as all for the white meat.
Yeah,
we can make a guy who does his push-ups
that's the thing is that's the trouble I think we run into in booking wrestling shows, and I don't mean I just mean the collective, the royal we.
We'll book a show one day.
Is we conflate like hero with perfection.
Yeah, when a hero should be allowed to be flawed. A good guy should be allowed to be flawed.
A great hero is flawed. How the hell else are they going to learn?
Yeah.
How else are you going to learn if there's nothing else to build upon? And that's the whole point, right? Yeah. That's the whole point of a hero, is not that you're perfect, is that you're trying to be, is that you're standing up in the face of what is wrong. And you're pushing back.
A hero is somebody rising to an occasion they never expected to be a part of, or even wanted sometimes to be a part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So but they rise to it anyway.
Which is what Orange Cassidy was kind of doing,
which I kind of dug.
Realizing that reason why he was failing was because he thought he could go out there and take on Moxley by himself against the Death Riders, and that ain't gonna happen. And then the conglomeration came out because they're like, no, we have your back. Like there are like, I think those aspects to it are great, but I also think this is also leading to, as we had noted, now I'm firmly on the Darby Allin train. Now I actually do think this is all Darby, especially with the ending, the crash into the truck, everyone like kind of losing their shit over that. Darby coming out looking like a madman. Like you realize that the only way that you have to defeat the insanity is to become insanity itself in and of itself, right? And that is literally what Darby is doing. He is just saying, balls to the wall, fuck it, I'm just going to throw myself at this, both literally and figuratively as well.
But my only issue is that he's been doing that for 5 years now.
That is true, but now he's doing it with a pink jacket.
That's always been his thing. What? Wait, what?
But now he's doing it with puffer. He's doing it with a pink puffer jacket now, Dave.
Sure,
that's fucking character development, damn it.
Yeah, see, that's my thing. Is it's like,
I'm not trying to disparage
what has changed? What has changed? Their arc seems to be like a plateau for Darby Allin.
Maybe
I've seen no change in his attitude, in his character, in his determination, in his he has been the same character throughout, which is fine. But again, that doesn't seem to be what this whole storyline was about. It would be more interesting to me if it was Cassidy and if Darby turned heel.
Ooh.
I would find that to be more interesting. Kind of a I've been sitting here waiting in the wings this whole time. This guy who doesn't even want it, who never wanted it.
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden, now he's the guy. I was with Sting. I helped retire Sting. I helped send him out on top. I've also been a pillar. I've been here. Unlike this guy who doesn't ever seem or act like he gives a shit.
Damn.
And so now we're overlooking me, Darby Allin, who's put his body on the line, who dove off of ladders through
crashed a
pane
car,
glass windows and onto cars, and and this is your guy now?
Wait a minute.
No,
Matt's
no.
moving. Matt's
Piggyback. So
Piggybacking.
great. I love that. But as an alternative, if we are, because I like that idea, but as an alternative, we want to keep Darby Allin as the White Knight or the White Face Paint Knight. Then I think what you could do is, because I think we have lost that a little bit. The whole idea of his and Sting, that whole run was incredible. And then that's how Sting, the legend, retires at his side, kind of thing like that. I think we've lost
on
that
his own terms.
Yeah, thanks a big part
to
to
Darby
Darby.
Allin. Yeah.
And I think since then Darby's kind of just gone back to a little bit of stuntman and I do wild shit and blah blah blah. I think maybe whether it's Sting coming back into the picture as a character
And
kind
one
of
more
thing.
thing real fast. Remember, he gave up his title shot. That
Right.
was the whole thing too.
Right.
He had the title shot against Bryanson, and then he lost, and
Right.
and no one came out to help him.
So this helps me actually. This helps me because
Yeah.
this is that I did forget about that, and this feeds into that. So if you have someone maybe like Sting come back in, because Darby is a freaking wild man, uses his body as a weapon, caution to the wind, and it's got him XYZ. But if he's learned so much under Sting, Sting went away, maybe he's forgotten that with Sting being away. Sting comes back into the picture potentially as a mentor and teaches him the lesson of Darby, you can fucking do this. And you take the right risk at the right time. It's not about throwing yourself against the wall every day, every hour, every minute until it breaks, because you'll break first. It's about taking the right risk at the right time to be a leader, to be the top of this industry and stuff. And so maybe that's the evolution of Darby. It's he's still the same guy, but now he chooses when, and then whenever he gets into this match with Mox or whatever it is, he has these opportunities to jump off this, and it's not now. And then the huge big last spot or whatever. Finally, everybody's out of the picture. The Death Riders are down. Boom. Now I jump off the 4 ladders or whatever, crush Moxley, crush the Death Riders, and he picked the right moment and the right time to take the right risk.
And then he wakes up dead.
Yeah.
Boys.
I also like the idea of if Sting comes back to kind of mentor him again, but he just learns all the wrong lessons. And he doesn't become Crow Sting. He becomes Joker Sting.
Oh, man.
And that's the kind of, I don't know. There are so many
The
directions
duality
you
of Darby.
could take it. Yeah.
Sounds
exactly.
like we got an interesting storyline, fellas. I
We
mean,
could.
that's really, we could. But of course,
Tony,
we'll
we
see
can
how
be
that
on
goes.
retainer.
We really can.
Work from home creative.
Not to gloat, but TK, you got my number, brother. Hit me up, okay? I'm just saying. Anyway, jokes aside. But we also, while we love theorizing
Also, I'll
about
coach
things,
the Jaguars because they suck. Oh my God, do they suck?
well, TK's not calling us now, so there you go. All right. While we do love theorizing about stuff as well on this show, sometimes we just got to take a pause for the cause and just say, folks, we were right. We were so freaking right. Yes, we were, because we predicted it. We said it last week. We were like, Matt was like, who's another Paul Heyman guy who could just show up when my dumb ass was talking about Bork. And he's like, who else we could talk about instead? CM Punkius. Yes, he is back. He is returned. I got to find a picture. Firstly, holy crap. How do you feel, Matt? Do you feel like a wizard? Did you take out the lottery at all? Like, you should have.
If only, right? I know. No, it felt logic, especially as it just jumped in. We were talking about the potential of Brock, and I think a lot of people have had that question mark in their head. Even though we've heard there's nothing on the table for him, which is probably for the better, but it was just like, yeah, I mean, he's been away. It just fit. It just seemed to fit. And then the stuff with Seth, I think, was just like cherry on top of how you could get from A to Z or whatever. So yeah. I just thought it was there. But yes, I felt pretty justified.
Everything about that worked. It was so well executed. Punk comes out looking like he's ready for a fight, and then you get the double, GTS Superman punch moment, which was super hype. Crowd was eating that up. It was fantastic, truly was. Jake, you've also had a viral video once or twice for our illustrious podcast. You're famous. The thing that kind of, I would say, put us on the map, the Avengers clip.
Oh yeah.
And now Matt joins you at the upper echelon, the top of the mountain of viral moments on this podcast. But seriously, Jake, how this is perfect, right? Like it writes itself, and we'll talk about it in the predictions, but it writes itself, right?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it automatically brings an interesting dynamic too, because which we will, if this is coming out Friday, we will have some answers tonight on SmackDown of just how well they're going to work together.
They don't agree. The workers do not agree with you.
They apparently are not.
They're more new Bloodline fans than old Bloodline.
Yeah.
They acknowledge Solo. They acknowledge Solo.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's going to be interesting because Punk really is technically nothing more than a hired gun. He's not there because he has any kind of allegiance to the Bloodline.
Yeah.
He has allegiance to Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
But also also begs the question, where does Paul Heyman's allegiance truly lie? Because as people have pointed out online,
the
wise man's garb looked awful similar to that of Solo Sikoa.
Early Sikoa.
It was interesting. Yeah.
It was very interesting. And as we know with WWE, while some things storyline wise they like to hit people over the head, lately they just like laying these little breadcrumbs.
I am only going to say the only thing is, and you'll notice it, is that the outfit that they wear is red and black. Like the OG Bloodline
it's
is
all
kind of
red and black.
Yeah,
the OG, the new Bloodline, it's all red and black.
It is true, but it definitely was like, that's the only one where I'm like, I don't know. I think it was just right to match with his boys.
I agree, but it has to be mentioned.
It has to be mentioned.
It has to be mentioned. That's the thing.
You're so right. All right. Well, you know what? We'll go ahead and save all this speculation and everything for later, because we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to give our predictions for Survivor Series War Games, as well as diving a little bit further into all this stuff. But above all else, everyone needs to remember, we were right. We'll be right back. Hey everyone, if you want to join us on Discord, you can go ahead and click the link in the description down below right here on YouTube, as well as on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Join us on Discord so you can be a part of the conversation when we talk about all sorts of things happening in the world of professional wrestling, on top of the fact that we're just a couple nerds. We just like talking about wrestling, talk storylines, talking all the fun stuff. Check us out on Discord. You can click the link down below. We'd love to have you join us. It's a good time, and we'll see you there. Welcome back to Rebook, everyone. All right, so we were just talking about what had happened with CM Punk being the fifth man. Jake is yelling at the workers above him, who really are just Solo Sikoa stands.
Huge.
I mean, really massive. But now it is time to dive in to
Sounds like Bronson Reed's walking around upstairs.
Survivor Series War Games. So, love the War Games format. Steel cage, absolute carnage and insanity. It's going to be awesome. We'll dive into the card and what we should be expecting here. Just for context in our matches, as of this recording, which is happening on Wednesday, want to be very clear here. We have Nakamura versus LA Knight for the US Championship, Braun Breaker versus Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser for the Intercontinental Championship. Women's War Games matchup, Gunther versus Damian Priest, and the Men's War Games matchup. Those are going to be your matches. I can't see them adding more to the card because WWE doesn't like to do that. They stick to their 5-6 matches, and then that's it. And also these matches are going to be loaded. So lots to talk about, lots to dive into. So let's not waste a lot of time here and talk about our first matchup, which is probably the one with the least story going into it. It's going to be Shinsuke Nakamura versus LA Knight. This is a new development that just kind of crept up. Nakamura showed up, started to attack LA Knight. He's got this like new character where he looks, kind of like dead inside. He's got this very like zombie look to him. It's quite interesting. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. But to be completely frank, there's really nothing else to this story than that. That being said, who wins? Fellas, what do you think?
I mean, there's been a lot of chatter about this, and we kind of, I think, summed it up a little bit last week when we talked about the return of Shinsuke. But the vibe from fans, and I kind of get it, is it's cool to see him back. But to kind of comment on what Jake said last week, like, are you going to do anything different with him than you've done before?
Yeah.
He beats up a top guy and then loses the match they ultimately have, and then
He should not lose his match, basically, is what.
I mean, it's like I'm a big fan of LA Knight having the US title. I think he's been doing good job with it so far. I don't know if it's too early to end. Maybe for the US title, it's not. I don't know. Maybe you could.
I think with the US title, you can have it ping pong a little bit. I don't think that hurts anyone.
I think it'd be cool to see it come over to Shinsuke. I think it would be a nice little boon on his return.
Yeah. He's got this new character too, Jake. So it just feels like it'd be such a blunder,
Yeah. I mean, look, conventional wisdom based on how things have been booked in the past, and especially Shinsuke Nakamura, says that it's going to be LA Knight all the way. And maybe it still is. But I think with him coming back and getting a title shot this quickly, after having been gone, I'd love to see them put it on Shinsuke.
Yeah.
I think that would be fascinating. LA Knight's never interacted with Shinsuke as far as I can remember. And I think it's interesting to see the champ, who's full of bravado, go in there having no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
And completely being caught by surprise, and Shinsuke coming away with the title. I think that would be a blast.
I wouldn't hate it if it was a squash, or not a squash, but like if it was a quicker match.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Like it being kind of LA's like, whoa, this guy is not like anything I've been in the ring with. As a matter of fact, this isn't even the same Shinsuke that I have tape on. Yeah. Maybe he goes and watches tape because he's like, well, I've had no interaction with Shinsuke, but Shinsuke comes out and is doing some different stuff or behaving differently. He's just maybe even more calm and calculated than he was before. He's, just completely cerebral, is smart in how he attacks LA Knight, and Knight has no answer for it. I think that would be super fascinating because then that can start. There's again, we talked about it before. There has to be some struggle for a hero to be interesting. And I haven't seen that struggle from the champ version
of
LA Knight. And I think it would be fascinating for him to get a reality check and to come bouncing back more determined than he ever has before to try to chase Shinsuke to get his title back. I think that would be an awesome story. I think it's one that this is something that both LA Knight and Shinsuke need. I think it makes the most sense to put the title on Shinsuke.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you.
I agree with that.
I think it should be Shinsuke. And let's just see if we're right. But I really do think it should be Shinsuke as well. So all three of us, Shinsuke.
Yes. Lock it in. It's happening.
All right, locking it in. Okay, next up, we have the unstoppable badass Bron Breakker going up against the Celtic Warrior, Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser in his first title match on a pay-per-view. So congrats to Ludwig on that one. This, of course, is going to be for the Intercontinental Championship. And as we had noted before, this is a similar situation to the U.S. Championship. Story, and you don't really need a lot of story with the mid-card titles because the whole point is to have the mid-card title. That's like the entire, purpose of it. So, and especially with the way that things have been going with these guys, it's mostly just been like kind of a blood feud that has the title on top of it because Ludwig and Sheamus have been really butting heads a lot lately. And I believe Ludwig interfered in the Sheamus Bron Breakker match. And then now Sheamus decided to just come out. Someone said like a No Mercy character coming out from the shadows to like attack. And that ended up, leading to this triple threat because Adam Pearce has had enough. Man, my guy's really got to get a handle on his roster. Am I right, guys?
Adam Pearce has had enough has been the reason for a lot of things over the last 8 months.
That's his line. That's going to be
man. All I want now is to bring back the WWE Network and have a show just called Adam Pearce.
on Adam Pearce's tombstone. It's going to say he finally had enough.
It just shows him behind the scenes at every Raw, and it's just.
I would love an Office type show with Adam Pearce.
Yes.
Where he is managing this insane company and he's got that would be fucking hilarious.
That reminds me, I pitched a 30 Rock-esque type show for G4 for us to do with people around G4.
That would have been good.
I would love to see something like that with WWE.
That would have required executives with vision. We just didn't have that.
No.
Corpos. All right, so let's dive into this one here. We got the IC Championship on the line. There are a lot of really interesting ways they can go. The most boring way is Bron Breakker wins.
That's the way it's going to go.
And that's going to be the way it more than likely goes.
So.
Yeah, I agree. So. But for my sake, and we'll talk about it later as it pertains to the World Heavyweight Championship match, I think it would be sick if Ludwig Kaiser wins. And he leaves War Games with gold. I think that would be really cool, especially if a certain someone doesn't leave War Games with gold. It really changes the power dynamic of their relationship of Imperium and Gunther being the ring general and Ludwig being the one who is always propping him up. That is interesting to me. But we know that they really, really want to make tweener Bron Breakker a thing to appeal to the lonely young men of the world. So I don't know where they go with this. But, and then Sheamus winning could be interesting too, because it's the only belt that he hasn't held. So that would be fascinating. I wouldn't hate that either. What do we think, fellas? Bron Breakker, though?
I think Bron Breakker's the the odds-on favorite. I think they're very happy with him. They're happy with the performance. The story, while there's some shoot-offs you could do, there's nothing really strong enough where it feels compelled to go in any particular direction. So in that case, usually 99% of the time, you stay the course, which is Bron Breakker as your champion.
Yeah.
But I could also see him give Sheamus the old attaboy, just complete his title history kind of thing. Let him have it, even if it's a short one.
Yeah.
Breakker wins it back 2 weeks later or something like that on Saturday night's main event. I don't know. I could see that. I think the Ludwig thing is interesting. I don't know that there's anything there yet that they're ready to pull a trigger on yet.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I really do think that it would be a tough one to make happen. But man, what a cool bit of storytelling that would be. You know, because you really alter what that relationship is like for both of those men, especially given that they seem to be doing this, you know, new direction for Gunther, right? Humanizing him a bit more, whereas in the past he'd always been that way. And honestly, a guy like KAISER is perfect in that position because, you know, the story's kind of built in with like, this is the belt that Gunther made famous, you know? And if Ludwig takes the belt, then it's like, okay, well, I've held the belt that you made famous, and now I'm going to make it even better, right? Like that could just be such a fun dynamic between the two of them. It fascinates me a lot more than I thought it would. But, you know, ultimately, it's going to be Bron Breakker. So, Bron Breakker, locking it in. Bron Breakker. Yep. Jake, anything? I know you had some work being done, so I didn't know if you wanted to.
No, I don't really. I mean, Bron's actually very over with the crowd right now. I think
he is. And, he's doing great work. Seriously, he's been awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that he'll probably keep it. To me, it would have been more interesting if like Sami Zayn were still Intercontinental Champion and Ludwig beat him so that he could say, well, I did the one thing that you couldn't do, which is beat Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental title.
Damn, you're right.
So I don't know, but I'm going to stick with Braun on this one.
Yeah, smart call. All right, well then let's go ahead and move on to the Women's War Games matchup. I put it that way because that's how it's listed in the card, but I don't know. Card subject to change. This one, of course, is going to include the team of Raquel Rodriguez, Liv Morgan, Tiffany Stratton, Candice LeRae, as well as Nia Jax. Notably, you'll notice that they have two champions and a Money in the Bank holder in this matchup. And they're going to be going up against Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and a proven Bayley who came in clutch because Jade Cargill is unfortunately injured. They wrote her off storyline-wise. So this is a match that came together very quickly. I felt like I blinked and then it happened.
A little bit.
I am not mad about it, though, because not everything needs to have the most illustrious builds of all time, a la Men's War Games matchup. But what's fascinating is that there are a lot of storylines that synergize here, that really blend well together, right? Shockingly. And if I had to say, maybe you're looking at a potential Rhea, Liv, Raquel kind of splintering off into their own fight while Nia, Tiffy, Candice has to deal with the four other women in the matchup, potentially. I don't know. Where are we seeing this? How does this evolve? Where does this go, Matt? What are your theories?
I don't know. So I think that's obviously going to be a big part of it. We're still not done with Rhea and Liv. There's going to be a lot of that with Raquel. I think the Tiffy question is there. I mean, it's a weird match to cash in on, though, because you're in a cage and
but it's never happened.
No, of course. I mean, so it's an interesting thing. I think also potentially this, whatever happened to Jade could weigh over this matchup. You know what I mean? What was it? Who did it? Yeah. Why? Obviously they're going to blame some people on the other War Games team, stuff like that. There's a lot of crossing paths in here.
Yeah.
That said, I think this one's a pretty clear-cut win for the babyfaces in my book.
Okay. Babyface win?
I think so.
All right.
Maybe a Tiffany cash-in the middle causing that.
So here's
she wins a title and then runs the hell off. And leaves her team.
This is what I'm holding on to, right? So you know that Tiffany's not going to cash in on Nia because I think she's like they're really doing everything they can to make Nia seem like the scariest person in the roster, right, for the women's division. So, you know, that definitely doesn't scream Tiffany going for the cash in, but I can see her cashing in on Liv because
well, considering there's someone on the other team who would love to see her lose that title.
Yeah, but also that then puts her in the crosshairs of Rhea. So it's like, I don't know, but it would be really fascinating. It really would be. And, you know, cash in the middle of a War Games match against your own partner.
Or
that sounds like a great story.
Or I like the idea of Tiffany and Liv being the last two in the cage before they come in. Locked in the cage.
That would be sick.
She beats the shit out of Liv in this cage, cashes in the title, or cashes in the briefcase in the cage.
Crazy.
And pins her in the cage.
I thought you meant the War Games cage. You mean in the little shark
cage. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in a little shark cage. That would be awesome.
Oh, God.
And then going out.
Ooh.
And yeah.
I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it. But all right. So as far as predictions goes, feel like the baby.
I'm gonna take the heels.
You're gonna take the heels.
I think there are some. Look, there's still going to be distrust of Bayley.
Yeah.
And I think someone on this team is responsible for what happened to Jade Cargill.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think Io Sky and Candice LeRae are going to do something real stupid off the top of this cage. I can't wait for that. Yeah. But I'm going to take the heels.
I you know what? Yeah. Heels. I'm going heels.
All right.
Going heels. All right, Matt's going face. We'll see what happens next week. And who's right? Let's make sure. Because there's like a lot of directions. Just a ton of directions that they can go in with this. And I don't really feel like there's a wrong answer. I think even if you were to give the win to like a Candice LeRae, that would be great because you're building up Candice, who has really needed something like that. You give the win to Io Sky. She looks like a hero on her new journey as a babyface, right? You know, because something that has been sticking out to me as well is how Bianca's got problems with everyone, right? Because all these people were bad guys and now they're good guys, and Bianca's got the problems with them now. And there's a direction you can go with that too, brother. I don't know. They got a lot of options here. Fascinating stuff for sure. But let's go ahead and move on to our World Heavyweight Championship matchup between Gunther and the Boricua himself, Damian Priest. What do they call him? The Boricua in leather or something like that. I forget what it was.
That's just describing
him as a human.
On,
yeah.
various factors. All right.
I've also heard Bisexual Undertaker was another one. That's another great line. I've heard a lot of really crazy ones for him. He seems to embrace them all, though. Good on him. All right. This matchup, this storyline got good very quickly.
Yeah, within the span of like 2-3 weeks, it ended up intriguing me a lot more than I thought it would.
Priest wins the qualifying match, or he wins the number one contender, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. I'm happy. But I guess, maybe they'll do that on Raw. No. They're doing this shit on Survivor Series. And Jake, I can't help but feel like this is going to be Damian Priest winning.
You're going to be heartbroken, bud, because it's going to be Gunther.
Okay.
It's not Damian Priest.
Show your work. How so?
Gunther's never been in this position before. Never. He has never had any doubt in himself whatsoever. So now it's about saving face. And I don't think Gunther cares how he does it. I think we're going to see Gunther win by cheating.
Ooh.
I think we're gonna get to a point where Gunther realizes, oh shit, today is not my day.
Oh.
Today, Priest is the one. Priest has my number. I have to do whatever I can to keep this title around my waist.
Yeah.
Because maybe Ludwig's not there. Ludwig had a hard fight earlier. He's not going to be there for him. Or maybe Ludwig is a new champion and he's out celebrating, doing his own thing now.
Fellas, if I
but
may.
Gunther's going to have to cheat to win, and that's how he wins.
And I think I might know how. If I may, for a brief moment here, indulge you with some fantasy booking. Because okay, Ludwig Kaiser's going to be in his match, right? And he's going to have to obviously, be dealing with that.
I think I know where you're going with this.
And, well, I can't help but wonder, like, man, they could really use someone who could, like, I don't know, bail them out when they desperately need to, who's kind of been doing nothing, who's kind of been falling flat all the time. None other than Giovanni Vinci.
Get the band back together.
Not what I was thinking.
Hear me out. Okay? Ludwig, destroyed Giovanni at the behest of Gunther, right? They wanted to trim the fat, so they trimmed Giovanni. Since then, Giovanni has floundered. He has been completely, away. And for better or for worse, hasn't gone very well, right? I don't know if it was intentional or not, but if it wasn't, this is all fucking genius. He's been going to NXT now, SmackDown, losing, so on and so forth. Gunther then calls him to do the bidding for him because he's too embarrassed to ask Ludwig after he told him to not, do these things, to not interfere, to not be involved, to, all this shit, right? And especially if Ludwig were to win, that would be crazy. But I don't think it's going to happen because, Braun Breaker ain't winning or ain't losing. But he goes to Giovanni because he knows that Giovanni's desperate to get back to where he was before with Imperium. And Gunther could just use that to his advantage. And in he comes, interferes in a match, gives him the win. Gunther's the champion still.
Interesting.
Giovanni.
Or,
okay. Do you need the graphic?
What did we just talk about?
Okay. Ooh.
What did we just talk about earlier in this
Tiffany Stratton?
The
Auburn.
enemy of my enemy is my friend.
So you're thinking a potential Phineas Balor.
What was he just bitching about on Raw? What was he just complaining about on Raw to Dominic? You didn't stop Priest from getting to the title.
Oh shit, you're right. So he still has that
there's
bone to
nothing
pick.
else. They're not doing anything else on this show. They're not in a tag match. They're not nothing.
Yeah.
Will he come out for War Games? Maybe, but I don't think that's necessary. I think they're there to screw things up for Damian Priest. And I think if Gunther can't get Ludwig to come out or whatever, what does he do? He makes a deal with the devil. Gunther makes a deal with the devil. I could see him doing something like, hey, come help me with Priest.
Deal with the demon.
I'll deal with the demon.
All right.
Come help me with Priest. I'll give you a title shot.
You guys have convinced me. You've convinced me. I mean, regardless, it's going to be Gunther. Yeah, I'm convinced. But
honestly, you had me actually going because I think that does work. I think that takes care of everybody. And I think they still feel very confident in Gunther as a world champion too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of his shtick is I win titles for long ass time.
Yeah.
But I did think for a minute that maybe, because I think there is a little bit of an audience thirst, if you will, for babyface Gunther. So this could be the start of that journey. He kind of rebuilds himself from ground zero after losing. But I'm thinking, I like where Jake is theorizing a little bit more for the moment. I think it fits better.
I think it's too early for Gunther to lose a title because you're talking about like if he's, I mean, he's mad because he lost to another world champion.
Yeah.
Like if he had lost to R-Truth, I could understand him being like, what have I become? But he lost to he lost to the WWE champion.
Yeah, but he also lost on a roll-up.
He
had Cody beat. He had him with the sleeper hold. He had him locked in. Cody couldn't do it. And then Cody reversed it, and Gunther didn't let go, and then he lost. And his own hubris lost him that match. So it's like, I don't disagree, but I think that for him, he did view Cody as lesser than him. So it stung him. I am gonna say, man, I had this one bit of fantasy booking for Damian Priest because I thought like, okay, Priest wins, who becomes the challenge? Like maybe Gunther and Ludwig go into a program together where they fight each other. Then Drew comes out and comes back for part 2 against Damien. But now I can't help but wonder if maybe Drew just goes after Gunther because he knows that Gunther is weak. Is vulnerable. So he could go after that.
So what if Drew comes out and interferes? No,
I don't think he would do that. I don't think that.
I don't think he'd take out Priest and then he can.
No, because he believes he could. He almost had Priest beat. He almost had. I mean, Gunther was the only one that he couldn't beat because they did the triple threat and he lost that one. But he didn't get pinned. Sheamus did, I'm pretty sure. So that was that Clash of the Castle when they did the first triple threat. So like I don't know. Because like Drew's got to come back somehow, and I think that Drew going for gold starts to set things up for the future. So I don't know, but we'll see. So anyway, that is okay. So Gunther,
I'm taking Gunther.
Gunther. Okay, there we go. Gunther's locked in. All right, last matchup of the card. It's going to be the men's War Games matchup. It will be the OG Bloodline and CM Punk versus the new Bloodline. And look, I mean, we'll just say it right out of the gate. Excellent build, incredible storyline. This is literally what we made this podcast for. It's intersecting storylines, things constantly happening. It's just absolutely brilliant. Jake, you're rubbing your chin. What is it?
I'm just trying to figure out what I like better. If I like the OG Bloodline winning or the new Bloodline winning.
I like the new Bloodline winning.
I think
Jacob Fatu is the one who wins it for everyone. Jacob Fatu destroys CM Punk.
Oh man, I'm so torn.
Because I think you gotta continue to make Jacob Fatu look like a freaking monster. There's so much focus being put on him. So much. Every Shabba solo has Jacob in it.
Well, is there still a chance that Seth gets involved in this match with Bronson Reed's involvement?
Of course.
And with CM Punk's involvement.
Exactly.
I think there's plenty of room. Yeah, I think there's plenty of room.
There's shenanigans.
Is this a
Punk, Seth, Reed kind of explosion of sorts? I think I don't know how it goes down. You guys maybe have better ideas on that, but I think one, especially after the Cody Roman tag match was won by the babyfaces, they just dominated kind of thing. I think the OG Bloodline needs a big win, and I think the babyfaces with their pinch hitter losing is perfect.
Oh, you mean the new Bloodline needs a big win, right?
Yes, sorry,
OG Bloodline.
That's what yes, a new Bloodline needs a big win.
Yeah,
and the OG, even with their ringer in Punk, I think if they lose, even more so if it's Punk who gets the final pin or whatever, takes the final pin, perhaps, probably not, probably Roman, but is prime for Seth to come in and be like, that's what you guys get for trusting an asshole like CM Punk, and then it's CM Punk. At least I fucking did something, kind of thing, and then you begin their clash. You start laying those bricks for maybe Mania or Rumble or whatever.
I think there is going to be like one gasping holy shit surprise moment of someone getting eliminated, And I haven't really settled on who that is yet.
But they don't do eliminations in War Games.
Oh, they don't get eliminated, right? No, it's just the winner take all, right?
They just come in one at a time.
They come in one at a time. Got it.
They
Got it.
don't
Got
leave
it.
one at a time.
Damn, because if they were doing the eliminations, like you could have done like a Jay or Roman early exit, and that would have been like devastating. Because then that's like whoa, you know what I mean? Like these guys were bigged up, and now they crumbled. When it happened. But I do think that it has to be Jacob Fatu getting the final pin, or Jacob Fatu setting it up so that Solo can get the final pin, because Jacob very much is, on the goop, so he's gonna do that. But who that is and who takes the pin, because you can make the case that Sammy could take it and then be like, hey, you were never part of the bloodline to begin with and you lost it for us. That could be a fun route. CM Punk, I think, is the one that probably makes the most logical sense taking it, because you brought in the ringer and then the ringer loses the match. Jake?
I actually think, I actually think the last, and it's happened, actually, I don't think it's happened a whole lot. They've made a big deal the last few years out of the guys who have pinned Roman, because you can count them on one hand. There was Jay in that one tag match like 2 years ago. There's been Cody.
Solo got a pin on him.
When was that? Was that in the six-man tag?
That was wait, actually,
the tag with Cody, wasn't it?
No, Roman and Cody won that, right?
Right.
Wait, did they? Bad Blood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they did.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and see if I can find it. But go on.
So my thought, if I don't remember who got the pin.
Yeah, they won. They won. Roman and Cody won.
Then there was that 6-man at Money in the Bank with Kevin, Randy, and Cody, right? New Bloodline won that though, right? Did they pin Cody?
Yes, because that's what led to Solo getting the title match against Cody.
So, yes. So this is my point. Like, they've made a big deal over who pins Roman, because there's been very few people who have pinned him 1, 2, 3 in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
They made a big deal about Jay doing it, obviously Cody doing it, so on and so forth. So I think here is another moment. Solo pins Roman. If we're heading to a big Solo Roman clash, which we obviously are, whether it's Rumble, wherever, whether it is all the way at Mania or that's going to be The Rock, I don't know. But we're going to a big Solo Roman one-on-one at some point, right? We have to. Here, he gets the 1, 2, 3 with the OTC's shoulders to the mat. I think that is a huge boon in his cap. It's a huge storyline note for the new Bloodline and for Solo, and is huge building blocks for a one-on-one with Roman.
Yeah, actually. And also because you can remove CM Punk from that equation, and it goes back to a 4v5, because let's not forget, as we had mentioned already, there are intersecting storylines for CM Punk in this matchup with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins has an intersecting storyline with Bronson Reed, but they also have Jacob Fatu, and he can easily be the wrecking ball of that match, because even though it's 4-on-4, you still have Jacob Fatu, who has been proven and built up as a literal force. So you could remove Bronson from the fight, but honestly, I think Bronson comes back in, making things 5v4, because Seth Rollins is going to show up. He is going to show up. There's no way that Seth Rollins just does not appear in this matchup. He's got 2 targets that he hates. One of them he hates very, very much so than the other guy. And if anything, that might be the fake out. The fake out might be, Seth Rollins is here. Oh my goodness, he's here to help out. And then he freaking goes after Punk because he's like, no, fuck that guy. And you think that he's there to go after Bronson Reed because Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins have problems, but no. Seth Rollins hates CM Punk more than he hates Bronson Reed.
Could be.
So that I think could very well be where things go. Shit.
Let me fantasy book this ending for you.
Hold on a second, brother. I gotta get you to graphic there, dude. But go for it.
Let me fantasy book this ending for you. There's madness happening inside the cage. Madness. And what happens is the referee gets knocked out.
Of course.
So they need a new referee to come in. And who is it? Who comes out in a referee's shirt? The Rock.
No.
The Rock comes out and he gets in there, but just as he did in his last appearance, he forgets how to count to 3. 1, 2, 4. They're like, no, he didn't count to 3. He didn't count to 3. That's it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I hate you. Yeah. Okay. Where are we leaning then? New Bloodline, right?
I think it's New Bloodline.
It's got to be New Bloodline.
I think it's got to be.
I'm going to again be contrarian, and I'm going to say the OG Bloodline. So that gives Rock a reason to come back really pissed off.
And the Rock of it all is definitely been lingering.
That's the thing. That's the thing that has me hung up. Because then Rock could show up and be like, you know what? I let you guys do what you wanted to do. I gave you the ability, the resources. You wanted Tonga Loa. You wanted Tama Tonga. You wanted Jacob Fatu. You wanted Bronson Reed. I got you everything because I was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes the whole time, making you seem like you were the big one. But instead, no, I am the original tribal chief. Oh, child, that'd be crazy. Sign me up for it right now. I'm in. Oh, shit.
I ain't mad at it.
I ain't mad at it. Did have one small little bit of fantasy booking business that I just wanted to get, out there so that you guys could go ahead and stew on it. All right. Because, and of course, in talking about Survivor Series, we'll see whether or not our predictions came to fruition or not. But there is just one last thing I wanted to talk about. And that is our dear friend, Codius Rhodeus. Because Codius is now in this very interesting feud with Kevin Owens. And I am looking at this line that KO said at the end of that promo on SmackDown when Cody was like, I don't care where I fight you. It could be here. It could be at Survivor Series. It could be a Saturday's main event, which is probably going to be Saturday's main event.
I think they already confirmed
that's been made official.
That is? Okay, so there you have it. Kevin Owens is going to fucking destroy him. But it's going to be disqualification. Cody wins. But I can also see a world where Kevin Owens just destroys him and wins the title. And then he wins the title, continues to just be like, maybe wins like 2 or 3 matches or so, like probably beats Cody again. Cody's struggling to figure out how to get the win. And, maybe something else comes to it. Maybe solo Sikoa shows back up, right? And then, of course, he's able to handle that. But then The Rock comes out. And then The Rock is like, I want this belt. But wait a minute. This has happened to Kevin Owens before. And that's what makes the story so fucking good. Because,
absolutely not.
Okay. All right. I'm just saying.
You go to hell.
You loses to another part-timer.
You go to hell.
If I'm
Kevin
right,
Owens deserves more than that.
I don't disagree with you. But, man, because, I'm not saying that he's going to lose.
You're a piece of shit for putting that out in the ether. How dare you?
I'm not saying he's going to lose and look like an idiot. I think what's going to happen is the fact that the story is Kevin Owens has torched every single bridge and relationship that he has developed. Sami Zayn, gone. Randy Orton, gone. Cody Rhodes, gone. No relationships whatsoever. So he wins the belt doing the thing that he always does, being the prize fighter, destroying his opponent. He destroys Cody Rhodes. He wins the belt. But the problem is he can't stop the fucking bloodline because they're literal parasites just swarming on him. And The Rock is going to be there to pick up the pieces. The story is so it's right there, in my opinion. It's right there. It sucks. I don't
refuse.
disagree. But it's
refuse.
like, how else do you get to Rock Roman at WrestleMania and you know they want to do it for the fucking belt? So how else do you do it?
I don't think they're gonna do it for the belt. I don't think they have to.
They wanted to do it for the belt last time. For
yeah,
no
I know.
reason.
I know.
Look how that turned out.
I'm
and
aware,
I don't
but
think
now
they'll
you have an
repeat
actual
that.
story.
I think they have enough of a story. I don't think that. And it also, I get where you're going. And I think if there's anybody who would do that kind of business, like Kevin could poke fun at, like poke fun is not the right word, but at his own, has history with the Goldberg thing.
Yeah.
And be like, but now as a real piece of crap heel, my comeuppance come around again. But it's just so weird. Kevin is such a nasty heel, and to feud with the really nasty heel bloodline would also be very incongruent for the audience. And like, I hate all these guys. Like,
but the thing is that people don't hate
spot.
Kevin Owens though. But like in the whole situation, Kevin Owens is justified in his anger.
Right, but he's still a bad guy. He's still doing, because he's taking it to, that's what a heel is justified.
To do the tweener shit now, so I don't know, right? They've been very public about Braun Breaker's now a tweener.
Yeah, I don't think Kevin's a tweener.
Okay, you don't think he's a tweener? All right.
I don't think he's a tweener. I think he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Because he's got legitimate motivations, but what do all bad guys do? They take it too far. He's dropping Randy Orton on his head. He's
I don't disagree.
Sucker punching Cody. His anger is justified, but he's taking it too far. So I think he's a pretty clear-cut bad guy.
All right. We'll see what happens. But I'm fascinated nonetheless. It's going to be a really, really curious
this whole season between here, and
it's going to be great.
I think it's going to be very interesting.
All right, folks. Well, of course, that leads us to the end of our predictions and our second favorite thing to do, which is who's winning the Royal Rumble this week. So this segment, of course, is we've been keeping track, making predictions, who we think is going to win the Royal Rumble. Every single week we make our picks, and this week we have locked it in. So let's go ahead and show it to the world, and it is blammo. Nothing really changed for me and Jake, but what the?
Let's go! Thank God I'm on this show, ladies and gentlemen. These boring boomers all pick the same as last week.
I care more about being right than I do about being entertaining.
Leave the showbiz to the professionals, folks.
I know, the drama king. Go for it.
I'll take this over. Jake and GB, the boring geriatrics that they are, kept the same predictions. They're probably right. But I went with, for those who are listening just audio, I went, you know what, with the triumphant return. Well, first, we'll just go with Tiffy time.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to be Tiffy time. I think maybe they're just going to roll with her. She's a little bit of a wild card guess, but I threw some chaos at the wall. Even more chaos, I'm going with the triumphant return that nobody wanted necessarily or saw coming in HBK. He's been tearing it up, running NXT. He's been getting a little physical backstage. He's doing the whole like, hey, knock it off. You know, I think he's still got a little fire in there. And I think he comes back and he wins it as part of the John Cena retirement tour so we can get a rematch from some of their classics, because Lord knows it'll be the same as it was 11 or 12 or 13 years ago or whatever it was. And so, I think Cena wins the title somewhere along the lines in those first couple of months of 2025. Shawn Michaels wins another Royal Rumble, and we get a rematch between HBK and John Cena. WrestleMania 23 rematch for John Cena's retirement tour.
The match that everyone's been asking to run it back again. Unreal.
100%.
Okay.
And they'll go an hour again like they did on Raw
one
time.
That's good. I'd be down with all that. I'd be down with it all. Jake, you sticking with Candace?
Yeah, this is more of like me just kind of hoping that she wins. I mean, I think Candace is great, and I'm glad that she's involved in this War Games match because she needs more attention. So the fact that she's being put into this makes me think that she's finally start to get some much overdue attention, both from the booking and from the audience, from the WWE universe, whatever. Anyway,
and Kevin Owens, because you're still riding that horse.
I just don't see. I think it's Kevin Owens. If he's gonna go lose the title to The Rock, then yeah, he better damn well win the Royal Rumble.
Okay, all right. And then I'm sticking with CM Punk. I'm committed. Everyone knows every week until the Royal Rumble, it will be CM Punk. All right, I am fucking convinced. It has to be. That being said, Naomi's a little bit of a fraudulent pick for me this week. I'm not entirely sold, but when I think about the women's roster, think about who hasn't really achieved that accolade yet. I think about like Naomi having that great match against Nia Jax. Kind of makes me feel like it could be Naomi. So that's but I don't know. I mean, again, we'll see. But overall, yeah. Shawn Michaels. Fuck. That's a choice. I did not see that one coming.
Expect the unexpected. You never know what's going to happen in the World Wrestling Federation.
Let's go to our Rebooked 24/7 Champion of the Week. This, of course, is for the person, place, or thing that we thought appealed to us the most this week in the world of professional wrestling. And, wrestling adjacent. Honestly, we kind of just shot shit at the wall. I'm going to go first this week because mine is actually a little bit more serious. My Rebooked 24/7 champion is Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston for what I think was their best promo ever, which was by far the most compelling thing about that Monday Night Raw. From the way the Alpha Academy won to the way that they just popped off to even what they were wearing as well. You had Kofi wearing the Goku outfit and Woods was wearing the Goku Black outfit. If you haven't watched Dragon Ball Super, there was like an arc basically where Goku in the future got taken over by like an evil spirit and then basically became like the devil and like eradicated humanity. It was a really all right story. It involved Trunks and Future and all that stuff. But he was wearing, it looked like that. And man, when Woods brought up that he dropped the belt to Brock Lesnar in 6 seconds, Cynthia heard that. My wife was listening. She was like, "Oh, they said that?" I was like, "Oh shit, they're cooking, babe. They're cooking." And that's when I popped off. So yeah,
that's good.
When they kept talking, I mean, it was like that. Stop! He's already dead. Stop it! That's how it like felt to me. I was like, "Oh my god, stop saying bad things to each other."
He was like, "Yo, I'll see you at the reunion." He said, "I'll see you at the reunion."
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna cry next week.
But he's got to come back somehow, right? Like even if it's just like not as a wrestler, but he's got to come back somehow.
No, he's gonna try. He's gonna try to mediate, and then something's gonna explode. I think for sure. Yeah. What I loved about that, and we won't. I know we're at the end of the show, but yeah, no, it was so good. What I loved about it was promos like that. Normally, especially with like tag teams who are splitting or whatever, come back. Hey, what the hell was that? Why don't you do that? You hit him with one line. You're a chump. Walk away. And it's like, oh, that's the classic. But there was like a real friend fight kind of thing where they kept, what about you?
Daggers.
What about you? What about you when you when we ding dong ditched that guy and you left me in the back of the alley or whatever,
the squad car,
all this stuff, you know what I mean? Or like when we got caught doing it was like friends. It was like just like,
they said some unsayable shit to each other,
dude. Like it was like it just pops off and it was like, man, they're just gonna keep going. This has gone deep and it
dark.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good.
Dark. Anyway, yeah, we'll talk more about it next week for sure. Jake, you ready, or Matt? Who wants to go?
Sure. Sure.
I defer. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Matt.
Mine's simple. I wasn't sure what to do, and so I'll just give a shout out to making an entrance in pro wrestling, especially on the independent scene. It's hard. You don't have a lot of lights and whistles to make it bigger than what it is. But shout out to the returning or re-emerging, should I say, Ricky Starks at GCW this weekend at the GCW show at the American Dream Mall in Jersey, coming down to the ring on the escalator with a Louis Vuitton bag as if he just walked out of the store in his finest rock-esque vest.
Yeah.
And coming in, cutting a hell of a promo. But I just, and the kid high-fiving him on the escalator on the way up. So I just dug it that he had like a Shoot Louis bag in his hand and got in the ring looking like $1 million at a GCW show. It just popped me.
I hope Ricky Starks can find a way to just, I don't know what they got to do, but I hope they get him on TV because that man's awesome. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I hope so. All right, Ricky Starks. Jake, what's yours?
Mine. My 24/7 champion of the week is the true champion of the Thanksgiving holiday. And that is Leftovers.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you, Thanksgiving dinner is fine. It's great, even love things. But Thanksgiving leftovers are the best thing. Let me tell you what we do. By the way, we started this about 3-4 years ago. We make every Friday after Thanksgiving a Thanksgiving leftovers pizza.
Oh, that sounds fun.
I'm going to tell you real fast how to do it. You just get a pre-made crust, put cream cheese on it, then you season it. Your poultry seasoning, garlic powder, salt, pepper, or whatever, maybe a little sage if you want. Then you put all your toppings. I'm talking turkey, mac and cheese, green beans, stuffing, mashed potatoes, all of it. Put it all on
cranberries,
top.
Put the cranberries on there too?
Cranberry sauce. You can put cranberry sauce on there if you want. Then your cheese, and you pop it in the oven as directed, and it is unbelievably good.
Okay.
It is so good.
So you found a way to take
try it.
Ross's Thanksgiving sandwich and you've converted it into Jake's
the Thanksgiving pizza is the greatest thing we have ever done.
I gotta admit, it's kind of based. That's
you gotta do it.
Even though I'm a New Yorker and most of that sounds sacrilegious on pizza, I will allow it because it's Thanksgiving. And
Leftovers, that's my 24/7 champion.
I couldn't agree more. You know what? Look, don't get me wrong. I like Kofi and Woods, and I like Ricky Starks. Oh, boy.
I think we gotta give it to Leftovers. I think we gotta give it to Leftovers,
baby. So I'm going Leftovers. All right, folks. So that's going to do it for us here today. It was a bit of a longer episode like last week, but we had a pay-per-view to break down. I think we did a pretty good job. So if you have any questions, or of course you want to share in the conversation, you can join us on Discord. You can also comment here on this video and just let us know what you think about our predictions. Are we right? Or are we right? Are we wrong? Are we dumb? Are we smart? I don't know, but be nice. In any case, we thank you so much for watching. We appreciate each and every one of you. Follow us across all the social media platforms, and we'll see you next week. Same time. Oh, actually, same place, but our original time. Anyway, folks, we'll take it easy. Have a good one. We'll see you then.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, yeah. Happy Thanksgiving.